This is the Yankees Postcast, your instant game reaction for the New York Yankees. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, more Yankee magic, and because of it, they're going to the postseason, which we sort of already knew, but it's now official. Yanks beat the White Sox at the stadium tonight, 3-2 in a thriller. And as we said, the Yanks clinch a postseason berth. 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning. The first on a wild pitch to tie the game. Then Jose Caballero, a ribby single to win it. And again, 3-2 the final as the Yanks outlast the White Sox and again clinch a postseason berth. Couple that with Boston's win over Toronto tonight, 4-1. And believe it or not, it's down to a single game separation between Toronto and the Yanks in the division. Of course, Toronto has the tiebreaker, so essentially it's 2, but you get the point. It's real close with 5 games to go. Hello, everybody. I'm Jay Berman. If you're a New Yorker, you might recognize my work. I've spent more than 2 decades in the biz, everything from TV to web to radio. Glad to have you aboard. You can follow me on X as well, at Jay Berman, Jayberman. Welcome to the Locked On Yankees Postcast, both on the Locked On Yankees YouTube channel and the Locked On Yankees podcast feed. The Postcast gives you a place to chat after every game. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, so some sparks in the 9th inning there. Obviously, the wild pitch scoring Anthony Volpe makes it a 2-2 game. Then, of course, Jose Caballero puts the finishing touches on a 2-run 9th inning and a come-from-behind win to beat the White Sox. For what it's worth, the White Sox now have 99 losses on the season, so you can pretty much pencil in another 100-loss season for Chicago. That's 3 in a row. Again, for what it's worth, not really our focus tonight. Again, 3-2 the final score. By the way, the Yanks are now 89-68. That's a season high 21 games above 500. Again, 89-68. And again, technically 1 game behind the Blue Jays. But of course, they need to beat the Blue Jays by a game because Toronto has the tiebreaker. So essentially it's 2. But you get the idea. It is going to be stressful. It is going to be crunch time, if you will, for the next 5 days. Remember, there are 5 days remaining in the regular season, and the Yanks and Blue Jays are now separated by a single game. Amazing stuff. How many times did we punt on the division? How many times did we say, just get in, just focus on the wild card? Well, no more of that. Not that the Yanks won't end up being a wild card team, but they certainly have a chance at the division. And the schedule, which favors the Yankees, we knew it would. Well, that is a huge advantage at this point in time with 2 more against Chicago and then 3 against Baltimore. What's interesting about tonight is 4 Yankees had multiple hit nights. They were the only 4 Yankees with hits with one exception. Jose Caballero, in his only at-bat, drives home the winning run. 3 hits apiece for Ben Rice and Jazz Chisholm. 2 hits apiece for Anthony Volpe and Austin Wells. Not another Yankee, with the exception of Caballero, not another Yankee starter had a hit. Offers at the top of the lineup. Grisham, Judge, and Bellinger, nothing. Absolutely nothing, despite the fact that Judge, 1, scored the winning run and 2, walked 3 times. So we're not going to get on him. By the way, his average now at .325. And, of course, 1 home run short of 50 on the season. But, again, 3 hits for Ben Rice. He had a night. 3 hits for Jazz. A quiet night, a quiet 3-hit night for Jazz, in fact. But then, again, Volpe and Wells each with 2 hits. Nobody else had hits. In fact, the Austin Wells ribby double, which put the Yankees on the board in the bottom of the 2nd inning, and essentially it stayed that way all the way into the 6th inning. Well, that was really the only big hit the Yanks had until Caballero's job in the 9th inning. In the 6th, another Yankee blunder. And this one, in fact, there were two blunders we'll get into. We might as well do that now. First one, huge. The Colson Montgomery home run that Luis Gil gave up, and we'll get to Gil's performance, was the first home run that Luis allowed with men on base this season. The reason there was a man on base was because a pop-up or a medium center field pop-up, if you will, and for some reason, Judge and Grisham came together, and it's almost like they played keep away. And they both steered away from the ball. The ball drops. Next batter, Colson Montgomery, hits it 430-something feet. And just like that, it's 2-1. Blunder number one. Now, Jazz did have 3 hits, but he was picked off again. And the only reason we mention it tonight is because the playoffs are on the horizon now, officially. And these little blunders, these little things the Yankees, for lack of a better term, have been doing all season long is what worries me. He gets picked off trying to steal second base. So there's the drop in front of Grisham and Judge, turns into the 2-run homer. And again, Gil doesn't have to give up the home run, but for what it's worth, it's the only time this season he's given up a home run with a man on base. So right there, that blunder cost the Yankees a run. Now, Jazz getting picked off. Hey, he's trying to be aggressive, steal a base. Obviously, he's in the 30-30 club, so we know he can do it. But he gets picked off, and it was ill-timed in a 1-run game. So again, those 2 blunders didn't help the Yankees whatsoever. As for Luis Gil, we know, and we'll get to this as well, we know who the first 2 pitchers are going to be if the Yankees are in the wild card round, which begins in exactly a week. That will be Max Fried in game 1 and Carlos Rodon in game 2. No matter what happens, that's what is being lined up for the Yankees. We don't know who's going to pitch game 3, be it in a wild card round, a division series round. It could be Cam Schlittler. It could be Will Warren. It might even be Luis Gil, who didn't pitch poorly tonight. Again, the mistake on the home run to Montgomery, but that, in all intents and purposes, was a solo home run because of the lack of defense. Gil, 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned, 3 Ks, 1 home run, 89 pitches. Fernando Cruz, Tim Hill, and Luke Weaver, high leverage guys. And this is another part of the equation that gets you nervous coming with the playoffs on tap is what are you going to get from the bullpen? Because it's been a roller coaster of a season. To be fair, it's been a roller coaster of a season for every bullpen in baseball, but we do a Yankee show, so we'll focus there. Cruz, a scoreless inning. Tim Hill, 2/3 of a scoreless inning. And Luke Weaver gets the final 4 outs. Yanks had just 5 strikeouts tonight, which is amazing. Luis Gil struck out 3. Hill and Weaver each had 1. All right, again, 3-2 the final score. As we said, the Yanks clinch a playoff spot. They were coming off a 7-3 road trip. You were wondering about letdown. Well, that didn't happen. The Yanks stayed with it the entire night, so kudos to them for that. There was some magic in the 9th inning, which you always need when you want to go on a run, especially in the postseason, so you need that. You never apologize for it. Look forward, don't look back. Never apologize for good fortune, and that's what the Yankees got tonight. And as we said, they did so against the team that now has 99 losses. 100 losses is almost a guarantee at this point for the White Sox unless they win out. As we said, 3 straight 100-loss seasons for Chicago. As for the Yankees, we told you, season high, 21 games over 500. They clinch a postseason berth for the 60th time in the franchise's history. Just to give you an idea, and they talked about this on the broadcast, so if you heard this already, forgive me. But the Yanks have now clinched a playoff spot 60 times. The next most times that a team has clinched a playoff spot, the Dodgers with 39. So again, almost twice as many times to the postseason. The Yankees are the model. They are the absolute standard of perfection, and it continues this year. All right, as for Anthony Volpe, 8 hits since the cortisone shot. He's upped his average to 213. Remember, he was below 200. But again, 2 more hits tonight, including a huge hit to lead off the 9th inning. He scored the eventual tying run on the wild pitch. But again, he's been better. The question is, who starts at shortstop in a week, assuming the Yankees are in the wild card round? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Jose Caballero, obviously, the speedster, the stolen bases, and the defense is better. Neither is a great hitter. In fact, Caballero's hitting 239 on this season, so not particularly much better than Anthony Volpe. On the flip, you saw a lot of switches tonight defensively with Rosario and Goldschmidt and Caballero as well. A big reason why is guys like Ryan McMahon, who you have to play at third base to start because of the glove, but he's an automatic out. Ryan McMahon now hitting 213, 4 for his last 41 over his last 15 games. Pathetic stuff. He's an automatic out. By the way, the Yankees struck out 12 times tonight. 2 for Grisham, 2 for Bellinger, 3 for Stanton, 2 for Ahmed Rosario, who only got 2 pinch-hit appearances today and struck out in both of them. And then Volpe and Wells each struck out once as well. All right. We got to do the turning point player of the game. We'll do all that next. And obviously, we'll set you up for the final 5 days of the regular season. We'll do that all coming up. All right, you've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. Well, there are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. I started noticing less shedding and healthier looking hair after using Nutrafol. Whether you're at work, out with friends, or even just getting ready in the morning, Nutrafol gives you more confidence in your daily routine, and you can feel good about it knowing Nutrafol is NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. All right, the NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet, player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, we are back, and let's do this first.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
All right, it's Jose Caballero who got the job done with 2 outs in the 9th inning, the single to center field, which, to be fair, Michael A. Taylor, who's an excellent defensive center fielder, for some reason pulled up. I don't know if he was expecting to throw out Judge at home plate, which was never going to happen. Not on a bloop, not with 2 outs, not after the crack of the bat. No way. But even Michael K. said it was one of those situations where it was all or nothing. He chose nothing. Dive, my friend, dive. Anyways, Jose Caballero is your player of the game. It just so happens to be this as well.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Yeah, usually the turning point's earlier in the game. It wasn't tonight. It was Jose Caballero's hit because it's a completely different game if the Yankees don't score there. You got to go to extras. Got to use more relievers. Now, to be fair, there was a day off yesterday, but there are no more days off through Sunday. Monday would be an off day. Tuesday would be the beginning of the wild card round. So again, interesting times with 5 days to go. And that turned out to be the turning point of the game. Not one White Sox had more than one hit. In fact, the Yankees out-hit the White Sox 11-7. And again, they win it 89-68. All right. Carlos Rodon was supposed to start Friday. He's now going to start Thursday, which puts him on regular rest for that start, which of course will be Thursday now, and gives him an extra day's rest for a potential wild card game 2 start. So again, Max Fried goes tomorrow. Carlos Rodon goes Thursday. Note that switch. Rodon from Friday to Thursday. Max Fried would pitch Wednesday and then Tuesday in game 1. Thursday would be Carlos Rodon, and then he'd pitch game 2. So that's how it sets up. And as we stated earlier in the show, no idea about pitcher number 3 for the Yankees in the postseason. Thanks for making Locked On Yankees your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-night Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night until the World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Also want to mention our partners in crime at Locked On Yankees, Stacey Gotsulias and Brian McKeon. They handle all the stuff there. They're the best, so follow, subscribe, and enjoy. Again, the Yankees have clinched a postseason berth for the record 60th time. Kudos to the Yanks, who are going to play at the very least next Tuesday. Hopefully later than that, but odds are Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow night for game 2 of the series with the White Sox. Have a good night, everyone.